Hey, welcome to your weekly Corner Späti. It is me, Ciarán. I am joined by Nick.
Hello.
And we are joined by Bob from Left Laser. How are you doing, Bob?
I'm doing amazing. It's quite hot out here, but I've heard it's the same for you guys, so enjoying the weather?
It is.
It's beautiful in Berlin. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It is 22 degrees, beautiful sunny. I'm going to hopefully be able to go outside after we record this. Mm-hmm. Ooh, Maron. Love it. Greatest city in Europe. Not
26
really.
26 degrees in Ireland. Every Irish person stops functioning once it goes past 20 degrees. So I'm miserable. I want to be happy that it's warm, sure. But like, oh man. Oh Christ. Blessings to everyone else, I guess. Right. For a peek behind the curtain, no technology fucking works. We tried so many things. We're recording. Happy. We have Bob on to talk about the Netherlands.
Let's go.
It kind of like, a heavy hitter when it comes to European affairs, making very weird right-wing people. It's really flies under the radar, I think, sometimes. But it's been a while for us since we've talked about the Netherlands, so I'm really glad to have you on. And I'm gonna pretend the previous episodes when we didn't talk about the Dick Schoof government that we didn't all just kind of laugh at the name Dick Schoof, because for English speakers it's a very funny name.
I mean, we laugh at him all the time.
Oh, good.
It's great because we can do like these vox pops, like asking people on the street, and it's like, "Do you miss Dick?" It's great. It's great. It's good content, objectively.
Oh God, yeah, dick pics, and it's just him.
Yeah, innovating on the concept. I like it already.
Yeah. What? Okay, so this government basically lasted a year,
roughly.
Yeah. What even was it? I mean, how will it be remembered? What was the Dick Schoof government?
Well, to be honest, I think the central question, at least for me personally, but I think for the movement in the Netherlands as well, is like, what will it be? Because it's like they're still governing, so they will still be able to implement certain draconian laws. And the question is, which government will follow it up? Like, will they be able to raise or prevent some of the repressive measures that they want to implement? Or will the new government make stuff even worse?
Like, I guess my first question would be, regardless of what it actually did, what did it even, like, promise to do? What was, like, according to Dick Schoof, like, what's great about Dick Schoof? Like, what was going to be good about this?
I mean, the whole thing with Dick Schoof is that he's nobody. Like, I don't know how much the audience heard about him, but basically he's been a high-level bureaucrat his entire life. He worked for the agency that deports people, but most importantly, he worked for the Secret Service, for the National Coordinator against Terrorism, and he worked with the VVD during the last government. Because he worked then as the highest person on the Ministry of Justice, and this was a post where a VVD minister was governing. So he has always been a good henchman for far right policies in the Netherlands. Officially, he used to be a social democrat. At least he was like a member, but he doesn't have any political profile. So no one knew him prior to being elected, and we actually did an interview last week, like, how are you going to remember Dick Schoof? And no one can tell you anything about him beyond the fact that he looks ridiculously tired and that he can run a marathon. and this is not like, I'm not being edgy or something, but this
Those
is
two things could be connected.
Yeah, you have the combination. Yeah, you have the combination of Robert Habeck and who was the British health minister who was like, I'm going to do parkour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know who you talk. Yes. Why am I blanking on his name? But
Yeah.
like also the way you described it made it sound like the like Mario Draghi government in Italy, where it's just like we just kind of parachuted in a bureaucrat that no one really knows or cares about.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, people knew Mario Draghi, but like he wasn't like a Italian politician in the sense of like people went and voted for him.
Yeah.
God damn it. Okay, so like this tired guy is in charge of the country for a year.
Just a sleepy little boy.
Comes out from the parliament wearing like a nightcap and a little candle. Just like, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
Legislating something? I don't know. And basically, I'm assuming just addressing no like long-standing, medium-term like crises or problems in the Netherlands. Like the housing crisis is still kind of like a major thing in the Netherlands.
Like the thing is, we're literally in a poly crisis. Like
yeah.
there are too many to mention, to outline. That are all like formally acknowledged by this government. But yeah, they haven't really achieved anything. Even on their own terms. Like on their own terms, they're not successful. And yeah, the population is very disappointed. Basically, Wilders tried to collapse the government to make it go about migration again. Because that's obviously, he's like the topic owner when it comes to migration in the Netherlands. And the fact is that for the past weeks, maybe even months, he was like slowly dropping in the polls. Because after the election, he surged in the polls. He got even bigger than he was. And now he was going down because the societal discussion was more and more about NATO. And he's seen as an ally of Putin, which is, yeah, it's complicated. It's a long story. I don't know if you guys want to hear it, but basically, he just got afraid because he knew the government was going to collapse, but it would be worse for it not to collapse on his terms. And now he looks like I couldn't achieve anything on migration, so the other parties forced me to do this because I couldn't let down my own voter base.
Yeah, I am. I'm kind of curious about like the NATO conversation, or rather like the rearm Europe specifically, because they're, I mean, like in Germany and France, they're kind of like, you kind of get the vibe that like, oh yeah, we're willing to abandon NATO, but it's still going to be like, we're all going to be armed and like do wars. Maybe it's just, maybe not with the Americans. So like, yeah, you still get these politicians who've been like tarred with the pro-Russian brush. Some of them not actually pro-Russian. Some of them are. That whole conversation, was Wilders getting hit with that kind of like Trump like backlash? Like Trump too was kind of like being more specifically like anti-Europe. I'm going to put tariffs on it. I'm going to like destroy this whole nationalist international thing. Or is there something else at play?
Well, he couldn't link up with Trump anymore. Like he couldn't endorse him. He didn't bring him up. But also, it wasn't really weaponized against him.
Right.
So I think once or twice he was asked about it. He was like, yeah, Trump should do what's best for his country. I'm going to do what's best for my country. The media let him get away with that. It's mostly that in the past, Wilders has visited Russia. So he has ties with it. And it's just kind of like more of a frame thing to a certain extent, that people associate him more with a pro-Russian stance. But the interesting thing is that actually for him to govern, the key demand was to support NATO, to support Mark Rutte, his position in NATO, to support arms shipments to Ukraine, and to stay within the European Union. And all these quite fundamental points, arguably his best points, he dropped.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that the far right would be good for, is like weakening the Netherlands. In the imperial core, it's like, like down with the bourgeois government. Let's go. Like, weaken us. Yeah.
Just like breaking some seawalls because it's like, I don't like the view. Get rid of the seawall. What's behind it anyway? Yeah. Fuck it. I don't care. Yeah, Jesus. Okay, so Wilders kind of like collapses the government because it's like, in his eyes, or at least rhetorically, the government is not being racist enough. So.
Yep.
Grand. Now what? Because it does. I mean, the first thing I saw about like after the collapse is like a bunch of civilians kind of like deputizing themselves to be like border check people, to stop the Germans from getting in, or possibly the Belgians.
It is the way that then that like every American says that they're going to do the thing of like, oh, like I'm going to go and control the border myself. Where the Dutch people actually went to go and try and do it, which is a bit insane.
I mean, it's just a single village in the north of the country that live next to the border. Like, let's not pretend like
no, for sure,
like
yeah,
en masse forming people militias to.
No, it's a very different character, because I imagine that like when the American does it, they're like, I'm going to be an operator, I'm going to have like a bulletproof vest on, and like the Dutch do it, they have like a high vis jacket on.
It was really funny. Like there's this like video fragment, because basically what they did, they set up border patrol checks, but then the leader of the group got really pissed that the police asked for their identification. So he's like, what is this? This is some sort of fascist police state. I have to show my fucking ID to you guys.
I do, yeah. It has the hilarity of like the like Reichsbürgers in Germany, where it's like they just want to do more bureaucracy. They're just mad of the fact that they're not the ones doing it. And then they get raided all the time for being like a quasi-terrorist organization, but then they're just like, no, yes, I want to like militantly separate myself from the German state, but I also want to like print my own birth certificates and my own IDs and do my own Krankenkasse and do all the boring shit that Germany already does. But I think that that's all illegitimate.
My criticism of the German state is entirely limited to, I think the layout of the driver's license is kind of wrong. Yeah. And it should be slightly different.
Exactly.
I will capture a minister for this position. Yeah, but like, I think there's like, that makes sense that like the guy checking everyone's ID gets kind of like pissed when his ID is checked, because he's like, no, by doing this, I'm proving that I'm the most Dutch person ever. I'm the true citizen because I'm freaked out about people coming in, right? Like, how dare you ask me to prove that I like have ID or whatever? I'm being the most patriotic right now by doing this. That kind of strikes me. But okay, so in general, how's this plan going for Wilders? An election hasn't been called yet, but presumably one is coming.
It's going to be at the end of October, presumably. Look, the thing with Wilders is, like the scariest thing is that on the one hand, he has been turning the state apparatus against his opposition.
Okay.
So that's what he's very actively trying to do, while at the same time stimulating extrajudicial violence against his opposition.
So his opposition, like, because...
And this is mainly against Palestinian activists.
Right.
So very simply put, like, it's very important for people to know, Geert Wilders, this doesn't have to do with Palestine activism, but he wants to ban mosques. He wants to ban the Quran. He wants to implement administrative detention. But during his government, today we've gotten, like, what they've tried to do all the time was try to ban pro-Palestine solidarity organizations. So they've been making so many attempts to ban Samidun, for example. And they were coming up with all sorts of ways to do that. And today they've organized the remaining parties in the cabinet. They've organized an initiative that basically wants to make any declaration with resistance organizations punishable with 3 years in jail. And this is something that's really big, because if we look at the situation in the Netherlands, over the course of the last 2 years, there has been a huge shift in terms of how pro-Palestinian organizations express themselves, but also the opinions of activists in the country. So there's a huge surge in solidarity with resistance organizations. Just like on a political level, like Palestinian people have the right not to calmly sit down when they're being slaughtered. Like that's the basic point. People have a right to fight back. And this is what they want to take away. So on the one hand, they want to weaponize the state apparatus. But when there are moments that far-right people in the Netherlands use violence, Wilders is encouraging this. So there's been images of police ripping open the leg of a demonstrator with a dog. And then Wilders like, oh, I love this dog. People in a very small fisher town, some pro-Palestinian activists come there, they attack them. Oh, I love this town. So it's very, he literally tweeted, I love Katwijk, and I think a dog smiley and a heart smiley. So he's very clearly signaling, go ahead, don't be afraid.
Yeah, this is so I was kind of confused what you meant by opposition. So you mean genuinely the base, the people, the actual basis of people who would never vote for his party, the kind of people who would do everything to never go along with his vision of the Netherlands. He's not going after parliamentary opposition. He's not going after members of GroenLinks or whatever.
He is.
Okay.
He's trying to heavily demonize GroenLinks, PvdA. And basically this will, because we shouldn't underestimate this, there has been sizable ex members of parliament lately calling for basically the legalization of displaying solidarity with resistance groups. This is already legal, but they're calling upon their party to declare themselves that people have the right to fight back. So this is a very big political issue, and if these laws will be implemented, it will definitely also affect the activist base of these parties.
Right. So you might have already basically answered this question, because internationally, Wilders' status, reputation has kind of almost fallen. I remember 2014 to 2016, anytime anyone had this kind of conversation about the international right, it was he was first or second politician mentioned. Maybe him and Marine Le Pen. Those will always be the two names coming up over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what happened, but in the last 5 years, people have just stopped kind of talking about him internationally. I feel I've always been trying to figure out what that is. Is did Maloney in Italy take the spotlight? Did have people just kind of accepted that Geert Wilders kind of a sense of defeatism, that he's just now a part of Dutch politics, and there's really nothing you can do about it? I'm wondering if this vibe has at all reached the Netherlands, or if this is purely people looking after the Netherlands from the outside.
Well, the only reason that comes to mind, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I'm not aware of Wilders' international status, but he has been avoiding the typical publicity stunts that he did in the past. So, what people don't know is, and that's very interesting, is first of all, Wilders is the only member of his party. So it's a one-man party. It's not a democratic organization, but it's also an internet organization, in the sense that they don't even have headquarters. They don't have a party headquarters. Their only basis is their heavily secured room in Dutch Parliament. But and they've always done campaigns through the internet. So basically, you've had 9/11, and then after that, you had two very significant political murders in the Netherlands. One was of migration critical and Islam critical politician that was being shot by an animal rights activist. We recently made a video about that. And the other one was an Islam critic that was killed by an Islamic guy. And that really transformed the political landscape in the Netherlands. And after that, what Wilders did, internet-based, was basically doing stuff like a cartoon contest.
Yes.
Drawing the
Muhammad drawing contest.
Drawing the Prophet, peace be upon him. But also other situations where he launched like a movie. So this was like very, and he would build like media hype for maybe months to make this a big thing, and he would be able to dominate the spotlight in that way. This has decreased, but mainly because of the fact that these internet platforms that grew along with him, because there's a big website called Geen Stijl, then they became a government recognized publication, like a media enterprise, like a state funded media entity, and basically the whole media landscape became more right wing. So he became much more institutionally embedded. So I think that's mostly what we've seen is a sort of, at least on a national level, a normalization of Wilders and his policies, because just the whole landscape has shifted towards him.
Yeah. As soon as you said, I did not know that like PVV did not have like a headquarters. As soon as you said they didn't have a headquarters, I immediately just remembered that time Thierry Baudet got locked out of his headquarters. Was that like when he released, I'm probably not pronouncing his name correctly, but like Forum for Democracy's leader, when he like all those texts got released of him like saying all sorts of stupid shit, and like then he gets locked out of his headquarters in Amsterdam for like a couple of seconds by other people in his party, and this is where like 21 comes from or whatever. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's actually a very clever move. Don't have a headquarters, because if you don't have a headquarters, you can't be locked out of your own headquarters. Jesus. Okay, fair enough. All right.
Are you guys aware of the fact that he's quite likely a Mossad agent?
Who?
Thierry or
Geert Wilders.
Oh,
okay. Go on.
Yeah, like I'm tuned in now, because everything now has been like, all right, yeah. You know, this is the past, whatever. We know about the Muhammad drawing contest and the other stuff. I've never heard this. Go on. I'm here to learn.
Before you go on, Muhammad drawing contest does sound like a Mossad idea.
100%.
Let's be fair. No, the whole thing was that actually his candidate for the vice prime minister. So you have like there were 4 governing parties, and each one delivered like a backup minister president. So in case he's like doing international travels or stuff. One of them, he's called Gidi Marcus-Hauer, and already in the past, he was doing like security for Jewish events. He'd been caught with a gun there, but the Secret Service denied him the job. They said that it was a danger for national security. And we know why this is, because he has ties with Mossad. And the thing is that there are old stories about Geert Wilders still circulating. Like, he went to a kibbutz in Israel when he was young, and it's quite possible, like we can't prove it, but it's quite possible that it was recruited there. There are even stories that because prior to him starting the PVV, he was a member of the VVD. And there are stories that once at a drink, he got so drunk that he started bragging that he was a part of the Israeli intelligence service. So
that's all I need to hear.
That's why you go into an intelligence service, is so you can get drunk and tell everyone that
exactly.
If you don't get bragging rights?
It is like
point?
It's the funny thing. Like a friend of ours who lives in China was saying that there's this one bar where like all the members of like international security agencies go to, and they just keep wondering, like it's all these old men, and they're like, oh my god, all these beautiful Chinese and Russian women just want me to take them home all the time.
God damn it. Yeah, I that is nuts. The only like no, that explain that okay, it's the perfect cover, right? Because like people who occupy his politics or in Europe are already incredibly pro-Israeli. So it's not like out of character for him to be pro-Israeli or like do Mossad stuff if he was a Mossad agent. I'd never heard this rumors before. I do like the last thing I saw there was, you know, the Dutch foreign minister kind of puts it to the EU of like, hey, the stuff in Gaza is looking kind of bad, you know.
Yeah, that's a sham. They're not genuine about that. That's
fair. I mean, like I'm willing to accept that. Like it's coming 2 years after this whole shit started, so it's not surprising. But I just remember seeing like Geert's reaction to it of like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Like even talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there had been speculation by Thierry Baudet, so we should take it with a grain of salt. But Thierry Baudet basically in Parliament insinuated that Geert Wilders had dropped the coalition because he was afraid that they would increasingly turn against Israel. Which, yeah, it's not, you know, it's possible, kind of but, you know.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that actually does lead me to the next topic I wanted to talk about because, you know, historical events keep happening. And the last time we did talk about the Netherlands was the kind of Maccabi Tel Aviv football riot. And I guess my question is, like, have the people of Amsterdam sufficiently apologized for getting in the way of those just good, fun football fans? I can't believe everyone didn't want a race riot in their city. How dare you?
Well, something very interesting happened like only a week ago, that somehow all the footage of the Maccabi hooligans misbehaving magically got erased. Darn it. They had just gotten a new camera system, and instead of saving the footage for a week, they had to delete it.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
Camera won't work otherwise. Oh, God. Yeah, okay. I mean, fuck. That sucks, because, like, so this makes international news. I think a lot of people were seeing that footage.
Joe Biden fucking tweeted about it. Like, it was huge.
Yeah. Massive. And then
German media could not stop talking about it. It was like, because it was it was like they had a field day with it, because they're like, oh, one, look at all these big anti-Semites in the Netherlands. They're a bad European country, unlike us. And then they just kept, and then no matter what came out about it, the German media was just like, we do not care. Like they, and then when it came out that, you know, what happened, they just, oh, well, something else has happened. We forgot about it. Like it was the perfect media cycle for Germany to be like, oh, look at us, the good country that then, you know, does something about anti-Semitism, where like the Netherlands is just being, you know what, and then, which was so fucking annoying, is that then like a month after that, Maccabi Tel Aviv came to Berlin to play a basketball game, and then Germany like had to like triple up security for everything, and so that then they would make sure that they would, you know, keep these little fascists, you know, perfectly safe and you know, escorted around the town like the good little boys and girls that they are, or mostly boys.
Yeah, every like Dutch citizen in the city in Germany was just like put on a watch list. Just like, we cannot trust the Dutch.
Oh, wait. I don't even think that it was like Maccabi Tel Aviv that was coming. I think it was like Beitar, the like even more racist club. Like,
yeah, this is the thing about football hooliganism, right?
this was basketball hooliganism, which is even dumber. Unless you're like
Yeah.
Greek or Serbian, then it's like just as bad.
Yeah, don't mess with the Greeks, man.
Yeah.
let them do their stuff.
Yeah. That was like there was an instance like this may have been like legitimately anti-Semitic, but like years ago when AEK Athens and and Ajax played during the Champions League, they just started throwing Molotov cocktails at the Ajax fans.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But what has the like? So naturally enough, international discussion of this event kind of stops when, like, I don't know, a week after it happened, basically. And what if any kind of like fallout has happened? Is it like, what is the vibe in Amsterdam? Like, I'm expecting increased security. Did anyone resign? Did any politician complain?
Like, surprisingly little has happened. Like, there have been news messages left and right about them still looking into perpetrators, alleged perpetrators, and like checking all the footage, but that it was basically too much work because there was so many footage. It was so difficult to puzzle. And yeah, I think this last week there were just some messages about, yeah, we kind of fucked up, but like the thing is that it's very weird that the heaviest thing was that for a few weeks there was a ban on demonstrations, and there has been a lot of police violence during that period. So even we have, for example, we recorded at one of the demonstrations violence against a woman. She was beaten on her head, and first the mayor denied that. Then we posted the footage with the audio of the mayor denying that she was hit on the head, and we replayed it, hitting it on the head with that audio below it. And then the police actually confiscated our footage. That was the first time, and they allegedly they're looking into it. But especially this period, like the few weeks after it, were incredibly tense and incredibly scary, because there was a rise in a new type of police violence that we had never seen before in the Netherlands. So demonstrators on the Dam were, for example, loaded into buses, and then they were not just dumped somewhere, because that is normal, that they drive you to the borders of the city and they leave you at a bus stop, that there will be no bus anymore and you're fucked. Like, that's normal. But actually, people were put out of the buses and then they were beaten up. So that was really scary.
I've also heard that the police would like take, I don't know if this is the same instance, but where they would like for Palestine activists, they like took them into a bus, asked everyone to leave who was not wearing a kufiya, and then arrested everyone who then was, saying that they had like illegal like stuff on or whatever. Because this happened to someone that I know. They're like someone that they like. So a friend of mine, this happened to someone that they know in the Netherlands. I cannot say who it is because I don't want to get this person.
There has been an instance, I think, where a bus was stopped and multiple people were arrested in that bus, basically for wearing keffiyehs and stuff like that. So because I think that's the incident you're referring to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I guess this is kind of getting into like, I mean, we're talking about it now, but broadly, how would you like anything else that we talk about, like the government response to the kind of like pro-Palestinian, like anti-genocide demonstrations that are happening in the Netherlands? Because what I've noticed, like since October 7th, is that basically not every European country has basically escalated their repression, but they're not responding necessarily the same. Like a lot of, for example, your footage gets confiscated. It causes like an actual response. But the German response to like footage of a lot of police brutality is just kind of like silence and ignoring it. It like continues. There are no consequences. What has been like the government's response? Has it changed over time? Do we feel like it's changing now? Is it escalating, de-escalating?
Well, I think we're increasingly seeing that parties can no longer defend the entity that's committing genocide. Like it's just impossible. And a lot of gains are being made. So there have been in the past month there have been 2 demonstrations. One that had 100,000 people, then one that had 150,000 people. This hasn't led to very tangible, like every time after these protests, small things would be given, but nothing substantial. But I do think that there has been a shifting mood, and the biggest thing that has happened so far, actually happened yesterday, is that Green Left P van de A has changed their stance on supplying defensive weaponry to Israel. So they're now saying that no parts for the Iron Dome should be provided anymore. And this has caused very significant outrage on behalf of the Zionists, because obviously they're making all their media entities go like, oh my god. But this is a interesting move and an interesting development, but one that has solely been won through struggle. Like, you should know. I think over the past months, Left Laser in allegiance with different media entities, we've really been able to influence the national narrative. Like we're really able to exert a lot of pressure on the Green Left and on the P van de A. Like, it's really, really high.
Salute.
I mean,
Bravo. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That
like
rips.
because their voter base is against the genocide.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is like, that is interesting because like this has been the kind of dynamic in a lot of places where like basically even since the beginning, the government has got like since October 7th and the response to it, the governments in pretty much nearly every European country has been in some way out of step with the population, even their own voters. Like,
Yeah.
Germany's answer to this was to not conduct any polling.
Well,
But
they
then
just
when
they
polling was
did polling like I think a week ago or so, and
Yep.
it is insane. The party that supports Israel the most is the FDP, and they're not even in the new parliament, not even the new government. And that was even, I think it was like 47% of the FDP or something like that, like condemned Israel or whatever. But every other party was like 70-80% and higher. For all of the stuff that I have talked shit about Bündnisser Wagenknecht about, they were 99%, which makes me wonder, what is the 1% of that party doing there?
The 1% BSW voter who's like, actually, I'll love Israel.
Yeah.
But like, and then obviously in places like Spain and Ireland and Belgium, this has kind of just been like, obviously the population has just kind of like been in favor of like stop the genocide. Like Ireland, you get this kind of insidious thing of just like people protest, someone from the government goes like, good job, we agree, and then they go and do nothing. Like keep it all entirely in rhetoric. But the like, it's good to see like pressure actually accomplish something, because the really kind of like existential crisis that's happening in Germany is like, oh, there's like actually like a kind of anti-democratic disconnect. They can just completely ignore people.
I've mentioned that Germany is an authoritarian state, but I have come to the realization, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show or not, or if this is me and my thoughts pretending that I've said it on the show, that Germany is a passive-aggressive authoritarian state, probably the only one in the world that, because there was like instances the other day of just like they just do shit in the way of just like constantly like suing each other or like kicking each other out of parliament, but then like that's the limit of it. Like there was a woman from Die Linke who came and she had like a Palestine T-shirt on, and they removed her from the Bundestag because they said that she was like being unorderly and whatnot. And that's kind of like the way. Now, yes, like you see all the police brutality and whatnot in Germany constantly. But like the way that the German state's actually been kind of the most effective in this type of stuff has just been through like the boring nature of German bureaucracy. Like we've seen the sense of like this back and forth of like suing that then has happened between like, you mentioned Samidun that then is not illegal in the Netherlands. That was one of the very first organizations in Germany that they made illegal because they just like, did enough, like they contorted themselves enough ways to put them together with Hamas, and they were like, oh, see, like that's how, if you what is it, the right of Israel's Israel's right to exist, that whole thing has been really contorted into every which way possible to then just start like either banning things or having the state spy on you and having you do this and having you do that. And like, yes, there is this like armed wing of the state that then's doing all the like grunt work, but the real work, which I think that you've also mentioned too with the Netherlands, has been coming just from these very mundane sectors of the state. But then kind of, I don't know. There is a very weird, like very passive aggressive way that Germany just goes about this that then is very, go on.
A lot of like the repression here was just like, oh, this NGO, like this community space that relied on some form of state assistance. You're allowed to exist.
You're just going to have all your state funding removed. Yeah, exactly. So then,
good luck with your budget.
Or like the thing as well too with the culture, like for Berlin's cultural sector getting like a bunch of their funding cut, was a lot of it was because a lot of pro-Palestine voices were coming from it. That's not the only reason, but a lot of people were pointing to that then. That the things that were getting cut were things that were affecting things that were like either POC run or critical or Palestine related, and the state's like, again, you can exist, but figure out your funding yourself. And a lot of those organizations or like cultural groups and theaters and stuff like that are going to probably close if they haven't already because of that type of bullshit, passive-aggressive, authoritarian mentality that Germany loves to go through with this type of shit.
Yeah. And it's also quite cool. Just give you like an example of like what we've experienced. Like we do our anti-Eurovision kind of Palestinian fundraising show every year. And this year compared to last year, we just got a lot of like silence from venues. They're not going to say like, oh no, we can't, but they're all just like deathly afraid that if they hosted something like that, their funding would just be like cut.
We've seen something similar in the Netherlands where like the budget cuts on higher education were, we all kind of knew it was related to the fact that universities are the hotbed of this anti-Israel activism.
Yeah.
But again, we should because I've also visited college campus occupations in Belgium, for example, and I must say that the political level in the Netherlands is significantly higher. So it's a smaller number of people, but their points of unity are more advanced. So if we look at it, like in Belgium, you would see that it's basically only about BDS. And most of the movements in the Netherlands are like explicitly in solidarity with the resistance, right to return, like all these very basic, fundamental points.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people in Ireland kind of talk about this because like historically Ireland has always been pro-Palestinian, but there was a lot of people, pro-Palestinian activists here, who lamented the fact that because in the UK, where they were getting like more repression, the pro-Palestinian movement was becoming more radical. And more like you said, like these demands were like more elevated, and it was because their assessment of it was because Ireland was a bit more like thumbs up, we agree, but the UK was like coming in with the truncheons and trying to beat people, and that kind of like pushed people further.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a sense too that also goes that like per like number of protests, Berlin has like the most for like pro-Palestine activism stuff because it is so, it is
largest population
population of Palestinians,
Europe,
and I think that then that the level of solidarity has also grown quite a bit. I mean, first off, I mean, not even just of the polling thing, but it has been very interesting seeing that it is very hard to kind of like run into, especially, I wouldn't even say like in like, you know, left-wing circles, because that's a whole other different, you know, like I think it probably is more likely to run into someone who's pro-Israel in a left-wing circle than it is into like just daily life in Germany, which is psychotic to think of. But like it was very
you're shaking your head, we apologize.
Yeah. it's and it because like even like directly after October 7th, I was like handing out newspapers when I was working at a newspaper, and the newspaper had reported on it from the correct position that then Israel was, you know, doing something very horrific. And I was in Frankfurt handing out these papers, and the general consensus of most normal people was like, oh, wow, good that you're reporting about this, because what Israel's doing is horrible. And this is in one of like the like bougiest cities in Germany. But then like the weird interactions would come from like the leftists who would come by and be like, oh, you're not really leftist, this and that. You don't like, ooh, you're anti-Semitic. And even then, at that beginning, it was like a bit like that was kind of clear to see that then like, okay, maybe like Germany's not as like fucked in the head as I think that they are. And the general discussion, it feels like we even like when I've like talked with friends and they're like, oh yeah, my parents are like, they don't like Israel anymore and this and that and that and da 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 da. Like it's kind of interesting seeing how then that yeah, I don't know. I think also has to do with a lot of sense that people are seeing the level of like the brutality that people are being like, you know, kind of hit with, especially in this city. But yeah, like it's maybe it does something.
I do have one kind of question on last question on this topic, which is, has one of the unfortunate things that happens in Germany, right, is that like Germany, the government was actually starting to become more critical of Israel in the same way that you were talking about with like GrünLinks and the PVDA. We were starting to see from like center left Green Party in Germany of like they're finally going to acknowledge that this is a fucking problem. And now that is just like gone because of the war between Israel and Iran, the attack that Israel preemptive strike attacking first against Iran. And that's kind of like sucked the air out of the room in Germany. Has there been any effect? Is like the momentum staying with Palestine, or is this kind of like reset the conversation over there?
No, I don't think so, because indeed somehow, well, not somehow, due to the organized efforts of pro-Palestinian activists in the Netherlands, GroenLinks PvdA made this bend. Like I was already like, tomorrow they're gonna have a congress, and I had already prepared the questions, and it was gonna be my line of questioning, like why still provide this defensive weaponry to this entity that's launching illegal attacks? Like it has attacked every country in the fucking region. Like it's fucking wild. But this is really due to all the brave activists in the Netherlands that have fought so tirelessly and have really sacrificed a lot. Like like it's the struggle is probably gonna get more intense. Because we've seen that they try to ban slogans like "From the River to the Sea." And now there's this move of trying to make what they call the glorification of resistance illegal. But this could lead in the future to people maybe getting prison sentences or heavy fines because they say from the river to the sea, Palestine should be free. So
the Germification of the Netherlands, basically.
Yes,
we've had that here for a while.
But I do think that the challenge for activists in the Netherlands and across Europe is to advance this level of struggle, because what we're seeing is that globally, like we're heading towards fucking third world war. No, like let's just not pretend that it's something else. And I think we should all study Lenin.
I mean, agree. Like
at least, at the very least.
All right, so then I guess my last and probably most important question for you then is So Germany was ground zero for this, but unfortunately, the most ground zero for this party of unsuccessful rich millennials.
Did you got my voice message this morning, didn't you, as well? I'm so glad we're talking about this. Oh, I can't wait.
But Netherlands has been the most affected by the Volt Imperium, so I'm kind of curious. What has Volt in an actual parliament been like? Because this is an obsession of ours over here since 2019.
Just completely.
It's your obsession, Ciarán. It's no one else's.
No, but they're completely irrelevant.
Good.
Like no one gives a fuck. Also because there's a party that they're just basically a carbon copy of, like D66, which is like liberals, which are for the European Union, so they might as well fuse. Maybe this leader, maybe like once or twice a year, he makes a contribution in Parliament that people actually see or something. But
I have seen like people who've kind of like crashed out of D66 end up in Volt.
Yeah,
and they can kind of like vice versa.
Yeah.
We have a similar thing. Yeah.
Might as well been a working group within the D66. Like it's.
Yeah, a friend of mine who was in university in Nijmegen, or however you pronounce the name of that city correctly, was like, the amount of Volt stickers on people's laptops is insane. Like, that is the, like, dipshit, like, lib university party, apparently. But, again, that's not the voting group that'll keep you in parliament for very long. But she was, like...
I think it's a party for, like, lame government bureaucrats that
100%.
do, like, EU-funded stuff.
Yeah, well, because like the party, that's the thing, is that like, because that party based itself out of the Hertie School, if you're aware of what that is. It's like a graduate program that then is very like US lib, just like, well, what if a consulting firm had a university as well?
Fair,
and like, one of my really good friends went there, which is very funny because she's like one of the most like baller Marxists I know, but she like got a scholarship there and whatnot. And she'll just like occasionally send me pictures of things that they do, and it'll just be like collages of like Emmanuel Macron or some shit like that, or like finger painting your favorite, EU freak or whatever. And they'll like, they'll invite like this type of like, Volt-esque, like, oh wow, we're so excited to have like they had like a weird event where they had like Arnold Schwarzenegger and then like some members of the EU there to like do like a Hertie of it's peak.
I kind of want to go to that.
Yeah,
Arnold Schwarzenegger and a bunch of MEPs. That'd be so fucking weird.
It was bizarre, but it is peak like consultant brain, and that's also why it can never take off, because it's like so hyper technocrat that it is like it's so far removed from like any normal person's politics. But like it is like what if Macronists were, I don't know, somehow lamer, if that's even possible.
For me, the worst part about them is that they never really bring up the EU outside of the period just before the EU election.
Yeah.
Like, and that just shows that they're a fucking sham. Like, they don't make, like, if they were genuine about this European project, they would make around the clock, around the year, propaganda, and they never inform people about what the fuck is going on in the EU, why it's relevant, why it could be a tool of the working class, or even like your local fucking bureaucrat class. Like, they never bring it up unless it's right before the election, and then even then it's weak. So I don't know. I think they're completely irrelevant. And
I mean, the thing that really got me oh, you're not really like a European party, because that's their whole thing. That's they're like, we're the European party. Is they last month released their statement that like what's happening in Gaza is bad, and it's like, you did that like a week after the German Greens did it, and it's like, oh, now it's acceptable to say. It's like, it's acceptable for like German progressives to say this, but it hasn't been like a lot of other like progressive forces on the continent were like, for saying this ages ago.
No, Ciarán, it's because their biggest donor told them it was finally okay. Yes, that's right. Aldo Thaddeus, or whatever the fuck his name is, the rapper who donated €1 million to these fucking losers.
There's a German rapper who has like 46 followers on like Instagram who gave them €1 million before the last EU election. His name is Aldo Thaddeus, and he has a new song at the moment. Great Instagram follow, highly recommend. He's got a new song out of it at the moment called "People Are Crazy," and he's just doing lip syncs of that around Berlin, terrorizing people who live here. Yeah,
I mean, critical support in that sense.
Can I ask you guys something?
Yeah, go for it.
What's your take on Tactica?
The rapper?
Yeah.
I'm like, I always like any German left-wing rapper, I keep at like a 10-yard distance away from me. There is, I don't know why it always seems so sketchy. So, because one of the other big ones was what's his name from Hamburg?
Vision?
No. I forget. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it is one of the things that then like Germany is like a big enough country where then it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, there's 90 million people, but then like in left-wing circles it's so small that it's like I don't want to know anything about these people. I will not consume any of their stuff. And a lot of the times they just seem like ops. And not that it, like Tactica I think is, but I'm just like I get
what happened to this guy in Hamburg? Like why did you what happened?
Oh no, fuck, what the hell is his name again? I don't know. I just remember that
it doesn't matter what happened.
Yeah, he's just a dick and just gets in fights with dumb people, and they just like as themselves are just fucking idiots. You know, like
sure.
That's just and like I don't know, they're very like they like the problem that I have with some of the rappers is that then they'll come out and be like, oh yeah, we have like, you know, this like good left-wing position, and then they'll like when they start getting bigger they'll like slowly crumble with it, so I avoid it. I don't know, but like he seems fine, I guess. I don't know, like I'm so removed from that part of I'm removed from the German left-wing scene in general, but whenever it comes to like left-wing rappers I'm like I'm out. Like this is something that then I can't deal with. So I did not answer your question, I'm sorry.
Too bad.
What do you what is your impression of him?
Well, I met him in the past, and I just thought I know that he's some kind of a meme. He became a meme after we met, so it was funny. I don't know why people always make jokes about him.
Well, I think
at least they fuck up anti-Deutsche. Like you can say,
no, for sure,
a lot, but at least
yeah.
they had a political position around that, and I think that's
okay.
I
don't know anything about this guy, but I'm willing to support any like
100%
leftist brand person who's like in Germany who goes against
absolutely
the anti-Deutsch because they had like such a stranglehold on culture for like the entirety of the 90s
and they like you can say a lot like definitely there's points of improvements for Jugendwiderstand, but they don't
exist anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but they consistently combated anti-Deutsche in a cool way.
Yeah.
Like, I get burnt by trying to engage with like left-wing German punk, and it's like, oh, this song rips, and just translate the lyrics. Oh no.
That's the thing too, is that then a lot of the stuff with like, because Tactica is like that's where I remember him from too, right? Is like he is in like that like Maoist sort of circle of like Jungen Widerstand and whatnot, and it's like in theory you know what, critical support. Anyone who's against the anti-Deutsch will get my support. It is just like, especially in the area that I live in, like when Jugend Widerstand was like at their peak, it was the funniest thing to always go and just see like the tagging wars between the anti-Deutsch and Jugend Widerstand. And of course I supported Jugend Widerstand in this tagging war. There is no question about it. But then you would like kind of like, I don't know. There is something that then's very goofy to me in this German way of doing. I don't know. Like there was always something that then it's like, I like what you're doing, but I think that you guys are kind of fucking silly in a way. Like I don't know what it is. I can't.
They weren't silly, man. There were a lot of things, but they weren't silly.
No. I mean, not like I guess like. Yeah, they were.
Well, the problem with the anti-Deutsch versus the anti-imp broadly was that like they got distracted with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then like never went after like some groups would then like be like, I'm going to spend all my time combating the anti-Deutschers, like great, and it's like not do anything about capitalist class or the bourgeois. But that being said, Bob, thank you so much for coming on and explaining everything that's going on at the moment. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, brace yourself for the struggle ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, get organized, work harder. That's what Left Laser is known for. It's telling left-wing people that they're fucking lazy and that they should embrace the grind, and that a lot of kids that are trying to, I don't know if is it a thing in Germany to like acquire rental property in Dubai? Is that something young people acquire, like strive to? No,
maybe, I don't know.
This is a low wage economy.
Yeah, I've seen
no, that's
that.
Like the typical grind mode meme of like Dutch boys is like, oh, acquire crypto, then move to Dubai, like get
German
rental
one,
property.
Yeah, exactly. The German one functions the same way. They're just somehow bigger losers.
But the thing is, be as thirsty for your first rental property in Dubai as a 14-year-old Dutch kid. As in, like, use that energy, but then dedicate it to the revolution. Like, work a lot harder, because left-wing people, a lot of the things that are wrong in the left scene is the fact that left-wing people are not disciplined and lazy and not consistent.
Agree. That I hard agree. I think this ties in very well to at least our show's mantra of hate. It's like, it is
be messy online.
Yeah, like,
be angry at people.
Being a hater can be such a good source of you grinding.
Yeah. All right. Bob, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
If you could, anytime. If anyone understands Dutch or wants to turn on the Google Translate on the subtitles, please go check out Left Laser. I enjoy your YouTube videos quite a bit, even though through my ability to understand German, I'm only picking up half of what's being said. But thanks again for coming on, and we will catch you next time. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.